The Canton Police Department, that's the very department that was in charge of the investigation into the death of Sandra Birchmore, which now turns out to be a murder, but they thought it was a suicide for a couple years, allegedly done by one of their own officers, and then had other officers who allegedly, after she was 18, continued to use her sexually. And you have the one who's been arrested, who Matthew Farwell, who was doing that since the age of 15, started grooming her at 12. Seems like, you know, officer friendly, I think, as we used to call the officers back in the 80s. Certainly not too friendly and not worthy of trust. Joining me to discuss, Shavaun Scott, psychotherapist and author. They're being audited. Good thing. The Canton Police Department, or the police department there. The firm Five Stones going in and being the one to take a look at this, of the Canton Police Department. Um, what do you think this could unveil when you audit? This is not a financial audit. This is examining the department's practices, especially in light of Karen Reed and the Sandra Birchmore case. I'm not super familiar with these sort of things going on with departments, but there's a lot to look at here considering all the missteps.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. It's overdue,
Hmm.
and my guess is that they're gonna find a lot more.
Yeah. A lot more people, I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part. New video coming out showing Matthew Farwell now leaving Birchmore's apartment hours before her death, or before she was found dead. Footage, of course, challenges the initial suicide ruling, and he comes into there. It's a real kind of creepy film. It looks like he's brought his stuff ready to go. So there's a lot of evidence here, obviously pointing to him, pointing to a lot of people just, I don't know, plausible deniability. Is that what we had going on here with these other officers? Because it sure seems that they knew that there was probably not the most up and up behavior happening around this young
Yeah, I think you have collusion. How conscious or unconscious, with all the other people in that department, I don't know. But yeah, it's I think looking as outsiders, it's overwhelming that there
woman.
was no oversight going on and people had to be just, the good old boy network. We cover for our own or we just pretend not to see things.
One of the more disturbing newer pieces that has popped up is the allegations against the former school resource officer. Now, the allegations in this one say that this officer had relations. He's admitted to it, I believe, with Sandra Birchmore, but it was after she was 18 years old. School resource officer, though. That's very concerning. This is someone who is with kids all day. Um, One has to kind of start wondering, why are you the school resource officer? Like, is it because you like hanging
Exactly.
out with the 16 and 17-year-old girls, or what's your deal? That is really troubling to me that was going on.
Yeah, and it takes me back to the need, which, realistically, yeah, there's probably no way to pull it off, but the need that we do psych testing before we put anybody in a position of authority around kids.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely horrifying. I mean, if I think if we read this in a fictional story, we'd say, "Oh, that could never happen." There's nobody that evil.
Are these people, would they show up on a psych test? I mean, it probably depends on who we're talking about. Like, what would they be looking for? Had they done more diligence on this before they put these people in these positions? What are you looking for in something like that? Are there things that, let's say, they hadn't struck yet, or they hadn't done a whole lot of stuff? I mean, what would you be looking for? What would be coming out on those psych tests that we otherwise wouldn't know?
You'd be looking for manipulative personality qualities, and there are some, and they're in depth. It's
Yeah,
not like you can sit down with somebody
sort of.
for an hour
Yeah.
and get it. So yeah, you're looking at hours and hours of time spent and a variety of different types of tests. But you're basically looking for somebody who's a bit off sexually, they're off morally,
Mhm.
and they're manipulative. And those are red flags for anybody that you just can't trust. And yeah, there are different ways that a lot of different ways that you do it, and it gets really complicated, but those are the qualities.
Does that come off pretty clear cut in a psych test? I mean, there's probably different ones, I'm sure, but does it, like, you walk away from that and you go, okay, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's nothing that says, yeah, this person is, interested in doing kids, unless like they admit to something like that. But I mean, is it? Is it something where you walk away from that going, yeah, I really, really wouldn't want to have anything to do with this person whatsoever, just based on the psych test. But let's say there's no criminal evidence or charges or even
Yeah.
allegations.
We know that people who work in nuclear plants, at least the ones in California where I've lived so many years, have to take extensive psych testing before they're hired.
Hmm.
And they're looking at issues about paranoia, about psychosis, and about honesty, because you want the right kind of people working in nuclear plants, and people can get rejected based upon that. And so I think that, we should be able, for people who work around kids, we should be able to have the same kind of standards that we have for people who work in nuclear plants. And that would cost money. It would take time. It would make a lot of people angry because they would say, as you mentioned, they have no arrest record. They've maybe never gotten in trouble.
Hmm.
Um, but I still think it's relevant.
Yeah.
And I always lean on, the side of let's do everything we can to protect kids.
Yeah. I mean, and why not? How easy is it for someone to beat a test like this?
I can't say that it couldn't be done,
Hmm.
it couldn't be influenced, but the tests are designed to look at things that people don't know are being looked at.
Okay.
And so a lot of times things are phrased to make it sound positive,
Hmm.
but it's kind of a red flag if people answer a certain way.
Okay.
So I won't go into too
Yeah.
much
Oh, yeah.
detail
Yeah.
because we
How
don't
to
want
beat the
everybody
test.
to know how to beat the psych test.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
I've taken them just,
Hmm.
as part of training.
Hmm.
You take it yourself and see. And I'm usually shocked at how much it nails me,
Yeah.
and I don't realize that I'm going in to try to give any sort of impression of myself, but
Hmm.
it's like, whoa, that, if it's in the hands of a skilled person,
Yeah.
you get a lot of really important information that way.
No, fascinating. And hopefully we can see some change in our society that prevents these sort of things from happening rather than us always being reactionary to every
Yeah.
single horrible thing that we find people around us do. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.